Hello and welcome to Boomerang, West Lothian's weekly talking newspaper. It's Friday the 13th of December and this evening it's Team 2 who are bringing you the local news from around the county, which is taken from this week's Courier with permission. I'm Rebecca and also reading for us tonight are Jane, Sarah and Joanne. Diane is in charge of the recording and editing tonight, which we all appreciate. Well, it was so good to see a bit of sunshine this morning after the days of persistent rain. My bulbs are beginning to show through and a few brave snowdrops have even appeared. Spring is around the corner. Now, I don't think there's anything in the post bag, so we can go on with the news.
We lost everything. Family return from halls to find burst pipe sent water pouring through every room. A devastated family have been left homeless after returning from holiday to discover their home ruined by flooding. Liliana de Klerk, 41, and husband Jean and their children Charlie, 4, and Killian, 8, had spent 3 weeks in South Africa visiting family. But when they returned back to their home in Blackburn, West Lothian, they discovered a burst pipe in the attic had sent water pouring through every room in the 5-bedroom house. Liliana said, "We had no idea there were any issues. When we opened the door, water spilled out. Every single room has been damaged by flooding. There was 2 inches of water across every room of the house. We have basically lost everything. Hardly anything was salvageable except a few clothes and a couple of toys. Everything else was destroyed. All of our memories are gone, water damaged or ruined by mould. We are living in a nightmare. I can't tell you how sad I am. I'm devastated. A building surveyor has warned the damage is so severe that all flooring and walls will need to be ripped out, leaving only the beams. Repairs could take so long that the family might not be home for 12 months. Liliana added, "A lot of our items are still in the house, rotting away. The house is starting to get full of mould. We tried to save as many sentimental items as possible, but most are gone." The heartbreak came after little Charlize suffered a serious accident while on holiday. She then arrived home on January the 20th to discover her room had been damaged the most by the flooding. Liliana said, "My daughter broke her leg after falling through a staircase where we were staying. She broke her femur and had a plate and screws inserted. The first thing she said when we got off the plane when we arrived back in Scotland was how excited she was to cuddle all of her teddies. The water pipe burst directly above her room. We weren't able to save anything of hers, including the teddies. I am so devastated for her." The family are now crammed into a 1-bedroom hotel room in Bathgate, waiting for their insurance claim to be approved before they can even access temporary accommodation. With just a kettle for cooking, they are surviving on pot noodles, soup and takeaways. Liliana said, "It has been horrible. It could take another month before we get out of this room." Forced to wear summer clothes brought back from South Africa, the family are relying on donations from generous locals. Liliana said, "The community has been amazing and donated toys and clothes to my children. My son's school even collected uniforms and toys for our kids. We are so overwhelmed with the generosity." And there are some really awful accompanying photographs of the ceiling which had burst through into Charlize's bedroom, and it is just an absolute mess. There's plaster everywhere and the kitchen is destroyed. The ceilings come down and their kitchen just looks in bits. Very sad.
College collaborating with Major Moroccan Institute, and this is an article by Ross Thompson. West Lothian College has secured a grant to work with the Higher Institute of Civil Engineering of Marrakesh, ISTPM, in Morocco. The year-long collaboration with the British Council International Skills Partnership will help the college develop new and innovative approaches to sustainable construction training, giving staff and students valuable international learning opportunities. Through this partnership, the college will work directly with the Higher Institute of Civil Engineering of Marrakesh. one of Morocco's longest established civil engineering institutes, to explore how both institutions can strengthen their training for the growing green economy. As Morocco expands its sustainable infrastructure and prepares for future global events, the project will give West Lothian College unique insight into how another country is embedding environmentally responsible building practices at a national level. Steve Morrison, Faculty Director for Computing Engineering and Built Environment at West Lothian College, said, "This partnership represents an exciting opportunity for meaningful collaboration that will benefit both our institutions. By working alongside our colleagues at ISTPM Marrakesh, we'll be able to share our best practices in sustainable construction education, while learning from Morocco's ambitious approach to green infrastructure development. The reciprocal nature of this collaboration means our staff will gain fresh perspectives on integrating sustainability into vocational training, and our students will benefit from teaching resources enriched by international expertise. We are particularly enthusiastic about exploring innovative approaches to attracting more women into construction careers and advancing digital learning tools together. This kind of shared learning strengthens our ability to prepare students for the green economy, wherever they choose to build their careers. The partnership will focus on areas that directly support the college's strategic priorities, including integrating new digital tools into vocational teaching, strengthening sustainability and climate awareness across construction programmes, encouraging more women to pursue careers in sustainable construction, developing knowledge of green construction materials and techniques, and deepening understanding of energy-efficient building design. As part of the project, staff from West Lothian College and ISTPM will take part in reciprocal visits, joint workshops, and the creation of shared teaching materials. These experiences will support professional development for the college's teaching team and expand the international relevance of its curriculum. The partnership runs from September 2025 to September 2026 with support from the British Council. And there's a picture of Angela Bell, the college's contract manager, and Lawrence Ferguson, the skills manager for computing and engineering. And in the background, there's a host of students watching on.
Campaigner features in radio documentary, article by Stuart Somerville. Ghost Estate campaigner Kerry McIntosh has featured on a Radio 4 news documentary about homeowners fighting for justice over crumbling concrete in their homes. The programme, currently Rack and Ruin, was first broadcast yesterday and will be rebroadcast on Radio 4 this week. Kerry was interviewed by Karen Goodwin as part of the programme. She told of her 20-year fight for a new home in Livingston, first highlighted by the Local Democracy Reporting Service. Kerry, who first described life on the ghost estate that was Deans South to the LDRS during the COVID pandemic in August 2020, told the programme it was like living in a cave with one light. The programme also visited towns in Scotland which have since revealed large numbers of RAC-affected council-owned and bought homes, including in places like Dundee, Aberdeen and Tillicoultry. The programme revealed that the problems with RAC were known about in Dundee in the 1970s. Many of the RAC-affected houses were sold during the Right to Buy scheme introduced by the Conservative government in the early 1980s. In many cases, the homeowners, including Kerry, bought their homes after that initial sale. An architect, Peter Drummond, told the programme there is no easy way for homeowners affected to find the money for repairs, as they cannot borrow against their properties. They are in an insidious position. He added, "There is no doubt that we have to find a way of helping these people. This wasn't their fault. It's a systemic failure, building regulations, maintenance, procurement, and poor construction. It's a perfect storm. I can see no other option other than the public purse. The Housing Minister, Mary McAllen, has pressed for the UK government to meet costs. Kerry told the Local Democracy Reporting Service, people in Aberdeen are getting the same offers that I did, never more than £40,000. I couldn't have bought a caravan for what I was offered. House builders Springfield Homes eventually delivered a home that Kerry and others had campaigned so long for in Deans South. She added, I hope the government was listening. I hope ministers were listening. There's been mis-selling. Kerry said, there will be more homes in other places that are affected by RAC. There needs to be a public inquiry and justice for people who bought their homes in good faith. We'll continue to fight for justice and we will continue to campaign for people. The Radio 4 documentary, currently Rack and Ruin, can be found now on BBC Sounds.
On the beat, romance fraud becomes a real area of concern for officers, and this is with Detective Chief Inspector Laura White. Whether we like it or not, we are constantly reminded that we live in a modern era where most, if not all, aspects of our life take place online or, at the very least, are affected by what takes place online. This, of course, has many benefits. For example, staying in touch with friends and family that, prior to the digital revolution, we may have struggled to do so, and, of course, being able to utilise internet banking rather than the more traditional methods of visiting a branch or ATM for depositing or withdrawing money. But with the undoubted benefits of a life within the cyber realm come some very real threats for the public and challenges for Police Scotland, as criminals more and more frequently conduct their business in this space and take advantage of the technologies available and the opportunities they present. One particular area that public protection officers within the Lothians and Scottish borders and the rest of Scotland have been seen becoming more prevalent area of concern is that of romance fraud. This is where fraudsters use fake online personas to build relationships and gain the trust of victims before stealing or defrauding them of their money. Within Scotland, the number of romance frauds being reported rose by over 10% between 2022 and 2025, and the continued emergence of AI means that those responsible for these types of offences are more easily able to generate fictitious backstories for their reuses, including generated images that add authenticity to their lies. Romance fraud is becoming more sophisticated every day, and if you have been a victim of such a crime, please do not be embarrassed to come forward and report it to Police Scotland. We will treat the report with the utmost professionalism and sensitivity and conduct all necessary lines of inquiry to identify the culprits. To help safeguard yourself against being targeted by romance fraud, please be mindful that scammers will likely utilise online dating apps and social media to contact you. They'll then strike up a conversation and try as quickly as possible to escalate the situation to one where you start to have strong feelings for this individual and care deeply about their welfare. After that, they'll likely present to you a scenario whereby they have been met with some sort of financial hardship and will request you to send them quantities of cash. Please do not oblige with their request and contact us so we can investigate accordingly. We have lots of useful advice available on our website to help the public avoid falling victim romance fraud offences. This can be accessed by visiting www.scotlandpolice.uk. Before finishing up this column, I'd like to preview domestic abuse awareness raising seminars that will be taking place across the Lothians and Scottish borders in the coming weeks and months to our young people in schools. We've recently delivered some sessions within Livingston High Schools, and based on the positive feedback officers have received in relation to these, the inputs are being rolled out across division to our young people locally to help understand domestic abuse, consent, what a healthy relationship should look like, and who is there for support and help if and when advice is sought. Domestic abuse has no place in Scotland, and in addition to providing the public with all relevant information, they need to identify abusive behaviours and patterns. We will continue to robustly pursue all perpetrators of these offences.
Councillors back plans for road layout change by Stuart Somerville. Councillors have backed plans to change the road layout through one of West Lothian's busiest towns. A dedicated cycle track will be added to the Edinburgh Road in Bathgate as part of the major refurbishment of the main through road. The work is expected to begin this summer, and local SNP councillor Pauline Stafford said the new cycle lane and refurbished road would make a huge difference to the town. The Local Democracy Reporting Service first revealed proposals for the redesign in June last year, when Roads engineer told the local area committee of the plans. Graham Burton, Design Engineering Manager, explained to a meeting of the executive that the works will bring the installation of cycle lanes running from Gildehoe roundabout to the King Street car park. The road and the work will also include partial resurfacing, but the bulk of the costs, around £950,000, will be met from the Scottish Government's active travel funding. The road will be redesigned with existing traffic islands removed and replaced with crossings, as well as changes to waiting and loading times. Councillors backed the start of the statutory consultation on the plans. Mr Burton's report detailed this order will redetermine part of the south side of the carriageway to a segregated two-way cycle track. This will allow cyclists an off-road facility, providing a safer cycling route while maintaining the footways for pedestrian use. The cycle track will be 2 metres wide and have half a metre of curbed buffer separation from other vehicles in accordance with current design guidelines. In his report to councillors, Mr Burton said traffic modelling analysis and further consultation with affected frontages was undertaken at the Bathgate railway station signal junction area to develop a design solution that would fulfil the project brief while also maintaining the north side parking bays and the dedicated right turning lane into the railway station. Officers are also aware of the current condition of the carriageway and sections of footway on Edinburgh Road and King Street, and it is the intention to carry out resurfacing in conjunction with the cycle track project. Local councillors, including Labour's Harry Cartmill, have long complained about the state of the road, the major east-west route through Bathgate. Councillor Stafford told the meeting, "I'm delighted to see this coming forward. It's been a while in the pipeline and the condition of the road has deteriorated quite considerably. So I'm really pleased to see that both jobs are going to be done at the same time to minimise any disruption." She added, "I think this will make a huge difference, and I think it's important to point out Transport Scotland funding is ring-fenced for this, so it's not putting any additional strain on local budgets."
Home appeal thrown out by council. An appeal to allow housing development in a West Lothian village has been rejected by councillors. The local review body, LRB, was asked to allow planning permission in principle for a site in Westfield after a decision had not been made by planners. Planning officers said they could not make one because they had no idea how many houses were planned for the site of the former South Logate plant nursery. The LRB also heard that other required information, including flood risk reports, was not available. Other council departments, including roads, could not make comments based on the information they had received. Roads and Transportation officers said, if the proposal is for more than 4 housing units, then an adoptable road will be required. The current proposal to access the site from a private road would not be accepted. A planning officer told councillors that further reports had been asked for but not supplied. Neighbours surrounding the site had raised generic objections, voicing concerns about the unknown number of homes planned, as well as plans for the boundary trees, which are protected by a TPO. An agent for Walter Davidson, the applicant, said in a written submission, the application has not been determined after 4 months, and requests for further information or another withdrawal have instead been made. The applicant considers that the time taken to determine the application is unreasonable, as are the requests for additional information beyond what might be reasonably expected for. Objectors had raised concern that some of the reports submitted in support were 18 years old. There were new concerns about land contamination from recent rubbish dumping and fires set on the nursery site.
Rent set to rise by £3 per week. West Lothian Council rents are set to rise by just over £3 per week if councillors back the budget proposals in 2 weeks. The rise represents a 3.5% annual increase, first introduced in 2023 and approved in a consultation with tenants just before Christmas. It will take the average weekly rent for a council house in West Lothian to £95.42. That is £381.68 a month. In a report to the Housing Services PDSP, the head of housing, Julie Whitelaw, said, affordability of rent remains a priority for the council in a bid to ensure the rent level remains good value when compared to the wider housing sector. The report added the consultation was held in November and December. And this consultation, which included all existing tenants as well as persons on the Common Housing Register, included lettering and text messaging campaigns. The council received 790 responses to the consultation, with 438, 55%, of those tenants responding, expressing a preference for a 3.5 per annum rent increase over the 2-year period 26-27 and 27-28. The current average weekly rent in the county for council homes is £92.20, and if agreed, the rise will become £95.42. Mrs Whitelaw said if council rents go up by 3.5%, the eligible rent on which the housing benefit calculation is based will also go up by 3.5%, so those on full benefit will not suffer further financial detriment. The DWP landlord portal currently shows 7,652 council tenants in receipt of universal credit and or housing benefit, and those in receipt of full housing costs would be fully funded to meet the cost of the rent increase. The council's focus on rent arrears from a preventative standpoint should assist those who are negatively affected by the 3.5% raise. The council will decide rent levels at a special meeting on February 19th.
Major jobs boost for local area. Almost 400 new jobs were created in the last year from around the same number of new business started in West Lothian. The Council's Performance Committee heard an update from the Council's Economic Development Team, which includes the Business Gateway dedicated to help new starts. Claire Stewart, Community Wealth Building Manager, outlined the diverse workload of the Economic Development Department that covers a range of projects from job creation to community development and skills training for the long-term unemployed. The Business Gateway team saw 385 new jobs created in the last financial year by new business startups. The service actually helped 321 new firms launch over the same period. That figure translates as just over 17 new firms per 10,000 head of population compared to the Scottish average of just over 12. The Access to Employment team supported 1,054 people over the year, with 559 helped into work, education or training by council officers. They have also boosted the number of wage subsidy places in the country through the Steps Into Work programme, giving more than 70 people the first vital steps onto the work ladder. Councillor Danny Logue asked about the difficulty of employing those who have been unemployed long term and the way some present themselves at interviews. Ms Stewart said, "We have teams of employment advisors who work with people. We have pre-employability supports so that looking at health and well-being with a view to progressing onto the employment, and we work very closely with our partners in DWP and Skills Development Scotland. The department is also working to address areas of deprivation in the county. Locality plans have been drawn up for 13 areas from Armadale to Bridgend. In these, regeneration officers work with local people to address issues raised in the community. Ms Stewart said the teams looked at what the opportunities are and how the council can work with communities to address the inequalities in the area." We're going to take a little break for the intimations.
And we have the deaths. Carson Agnes Stark Stevenson, 02/10/1942 to the 30/01/2026, passed peacefully at St John's Hospital, surrounded by her family. Much loved mum to Gordon and mother-in-law to Tracy and beloved granny to Joseph. The funeral service will be held on Tuesday the 24th of February 2026 at the Co-op Funeral Care Bathgate at 12 p.m, followed by an interment at Hermand Park Cemetery, West Calder, to which all are warmly welcome to attend.
Read Christine, East Calder. Christine passed away suddenly at home on Friday 30th January 2026, aged 73 years. Beloved wife of the late Andy, much loved mum to Ashley and stepmum to Janine and Carrie Ann. A doting nana to Ava, Daniel and Katie, and a great nana to Sophia and Harrison. Also a loving sister and a wonderful friend to many. A service of celebration for the life of Christine will be held in West Lothian Crematorium on Wednesday 18th February at 1 p.m. Family and friends are welcome to attend. For further inquiries, please contact Merrilee's Family Funeral Directors, Ladies Mill, Falkirk, on 01324 636 446.
News.
Pupils are shown all the joys of language. Livingston teacher leads the way in Celebration Week by Ross Thompson. A West Lothian teacher is championing language learning across the area. From February the 2nd to the 6th, schools, nurseries, families and communities across Scotland celebrated Languages Week Scotland 2026, a national event highlighting the joy, value and power of language learning. This year's theme, Diverse Voices, Common Ground, focused on how languages help us to connect, share stories and understand one another. In Livingston, local French teacher Sandra Kasparek is leading the way, helping children thrive in language learning and ensuring that the pressures facing Scottish schools don't hold her pupils back. With Scottish schools facing challenges such as multi-level classes, teacher shortages and declining uptake of modern languages, Sandra's structured weekly online French lessons provide vital support. Her approach helps pupils build confidence, fluency and a love of languages that extends well beyond the classroom. Sandra said, "I'm proud to help my pupils to get a head start in French and see their confidence grow." Languages Week Scotland is the perfect time to celebrate how learning another language can open doors, connect people and create opportunities. This week in class, we're having extra fun activities from French storytelling and themed games to songs, quizzes and cultural explorations, so pupils can really experience the joy of language learning. Seeing my pupils embrace French with enthusiasm is incredibly rewarding. Languages Week is led by SCILT, Scotland's National Centre for Languages, on behalf of the Scottish Government. This week highlights how languages help children and communities to connect, communicate and broaden their horizons. It's a special opportunity to share a spotlight on the joy, value and power of learning languages and to celebrate the rich mix of languages and cultures around us. Joanna Park's daughters, Amelia 11 and 7-year-old Lilia, have been learning French with Sandra, and Joanna believes her daughters now approach language learning with confidence and curiosity, embracing new vocabulary and cultural insights with excitement. "We are so grateful for the wonderful progress our girls have made in French," said Joanna. "It is clear that Sandra is not only an excellent teacher, but also someone who knows how to make learning engaging and enjoyable for children. Sandra's patience, passion and dedication have made a huge difference." For 12-year-old Sadie and her classmates, learning French has become more than a school subject. It's a practical skill, a source of enjoyment and a window into the wider world. Sadie said, "I really enjoy learning French because it helps me learn new things and gives me a free pass in my exams at secondary school. It's also great for connecting with others, especially when travelling to French-speaking countries." And for more information on the language classes, you can go to www.lajolironde.co.uk, and there is two lovely pictures accompanying the story. One is of Amelia and Lilia Park, and they're holding the books, really colourful books with cartoons and a map of France, and they're smiling very happily. There's another great picture of the teacher, and she is sitting at her desk and she's got the screen up with the activities that she'll be doing online with the kids, and it looks really interesting.
Residents await level of council tax increase. West Lothian expects to see a substantial rise to help budget. And this is an article by Stuart Somerville. The big unknown for West Lothian households as they await the budget is, by how much will the council tax rise? After a decade of Holyrood-imposed freezes, Scotland's councils were unfettered last year, and West Lothian was among the more modest when it came to rises. Councillors looked at a baseline option of 4.5% increase that would bring in just over 12 million over the next 2 years, a little over 6 million a year. That would mean an additional cost for Band D taxpayers of £5.68 per month or £1.31 per week. The detailed budget for 25-26 approved a council tax increase of 8.95% for 25-26, but the initial planned increase had been 5.4%. In February last year, neighbouring councils had the highest and lowest increases in Scotland. Falkirk Council imposed a 15% hike, while South Lanarkshire bills rose only by 6%. That being the case, councillors have a fair bit of leeway to push for a much bigger rise than 4.5% in the next 2 weeks, should they choose. Papers before the Corporate Policy and Resources, PDSP, gave different scenarios for hikes up to 10%, and the difference that would mean to the average D-band household. Finance Director Alistair Black told the meeting that a budget model assumed 900 houses will be built annually, which will provide additional income of 2.3 million. A 4.5 increase in council tax for 26-27 and 27-28 would provide additional income of 10.4 million over the next 2 years, a total income of 12.7 million. A budget assumption of a 4.5% increase in 26-27 would see Band D payers paying £131.97 a month or £30.45 a week from April. But if councillors opt for a 9% rise in council tax, it will mean Band D households pay £137.65 a month or £31.77 a week. The papers before Council revealed the Scottish average annual Band D council tax is £1,543, compared with West Lothian's 25-26 Band D rate of £1,515.45. West Lothian Council has the 9th lowest council tax Band D rate of Scotland's 32 local councils. The report added, from 2017-18 to 25-26, the average Band D council tax rate for Scotland has increased from £1,173 to £1,500 and an increase of £370. That's 31.5% or 89 pence per week for 8 years. West Lothian's Band D rate has increased by £387.43, which is 34.4%, or 93 pence per week. The Council Tax Reduction Scheme, CTRS, provides mitigation to those who cannot afford to pay the full amount. In West Lothian households, 74% of properties in West Lothian are in Bands A to D, and of those Bands A to D properties, 47% of households are in receipt of a form of discount or exemption, and 16% of households in Bands A to D are in receipt of CTRS. The report to the Council said, since February 2025, the recurring budget position, including recurring pressures, has deteriorated as a result of inflationary pressures and increasing demands. On November 11, 2025, an overspend of £2.588 million was forecast for 25-26. The IJB has agreed to fund an equal share of the overspend on IJB delegated social care functions, which would reduce the overspend to £2.16 million. Prospects for all budgets are worsening rather than improving, with funding provided falling short of the amount required to continue the provision of local services as they are currently delivered. Concluding his report, Mr. Black said, given the extent of the financial challenge facing the Council over the next 2 years, council tax increases will form an essential element of securing a financially stable council able to deliver services to West Lothian communities. The full council will make a final decision on the level of council tax by the end of the month. So brace yourselves.
We're going to take a little break now with some music. The second part of the recording will start soon afterwards. And now we'll start section 2, which has some main news articles and also some sports news.
Mind the £15 million gap for council. Article by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian's budget gap has reached £15.4 million. The news that surging costs are pushing the deficit comes a fortnight before councillors have to decide on a new set of cuts. The council has to set its budget by the end of February. The first of a series of meetings to debate proposals began this week with the news that the expected gap has risen by almost £6 million since last estimates were delivered in November. Spiralling costs of adult home care and housing the homeless are emptying council coffers across the country as well as in West Lothian. And while the Scottish Government's revenue budget award to West Lothian is a 2.5% cash increase, in real terms, this represents only a 0.3% increase for revenue spending. In his report to the executive, Alistair Black, Director of Finance, said the updated estimate budget gap for 26-27 and 27-28 amounts to £15.4 million. This takes account of approved budget savings, updated planning assumptions, and accounts for the latest local government finance settlement. As reported to Council Executive on 11th November 2025, the Council has a forecast net overspend position at month 6 of £2.58 million, accounting for the IJB contribution towards its equal share of the residual year-end overspend on delegated social care functions. The projected overspend of month 6 is reduced to £2.16 million, and if you know what that means, please tell me. It does not take into account the significant increase in demand for services, particularly for the elderly, and other increasing costs. Lib Dem councillor Sally Pattle questioned why officers could have got it so wrong in terms of the jump from a gap of £9 million to almost £6 million more. Officers responded that this was the latest estimate of the gap given the information received from the Scottish Government. That should have been the gap given in the information received from the Scottish Government. I'm sorry about this. The population of West Lothian has grown significantly over the last 10 years, and this is forecast to continue. However, the largest areas of growth are within those aged over 65. Over the next 25 years, West Lothian is forecast to have the fastest growth in people of pensionable age in Scotland. Audit Scotland recently said councils face significant risks to their financial sustainability, which can be influenced by external pressures. These include demographic changes and rising demand for services, particularly within social care. Additionally, the implementation of new and existing Scottish Government policies without sufficient further funding can add to existing challenges. John McPherson, Head of Social Policy, said, "The fact is that more people need care and support, and an increasing number of people need more complex packages of care and for longer. The Council delivers vital care and support to tens of thousands of people each and every day. It is the cornerstone of what our teams do and are proud to do. Having a growing number of people relying on our services means we need to invest more resources and spend more funding in these services. It is clear that West Lothian has significant budget pressures when it comes to demographic changes compared to the amount of funding we're provided with. As Chief Social Work Officer, it is incumbent on me to make it clear that we will always look to provide care to as many people as we can, but our funding will only go so far." Councillor leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick told the meeting, "Clearly there is a gap of £2.9 million, and I appreciate that the highly committed and professional social work team, led by Joe McPherson, does its absolute utmost to ensure people who are among the most vulnerable get the level of care which they so desperately need. I have grave concerns about the ability, with the money available, to meet the very high levels of statutory requirements for people, and it could be the case that we lose people because of this."
So far, so good for Lewis. A West Lothian star snaps pictures as a photographer on Taylor Swift's music set. Lewis Capaldi has a cameo in Taylor Swift's new music video, thanks to an appearance on the Graham Norton show. Pop megastar Taylor premiered a trailer for the video for Opalite on Spotify and Apple Music, the second video from her latest album, The Life of a Showgirl. The surreal video sees her character meet the paper's Donald Gleeson and a romance begins, and Lewis appears in the video as a photographer. Other famous faces include Graham Norton as an Opalite salesman and Cillian Murphy on a towering billboard. The three Irishmen, Scott Lewis and American Taylor, met on the Graham Norton show in October last year while she was promoting her album. Taylor wrote on Instagram, "My favourite part about writing is that first spark of an idea. It can happen at any time for any reason. I was a guest on one of my favourite shows, the Graham Norton Show. I remember thinking I got ridiculously lucky with the group of people I was paired with, all people whose work I've admired from afar." Taylor Swift recalled that Donald joked about wanting to appear in one of her videos. She said, "He's Irish." He was joking, except that in that moment during the interview, I was instantly struck with an idea. She added, "I have had more fun than I ever imagined. I've made new friends, metaphors and fashion choices. It was an absolute thrill to create this story and these characters." And she confirmed on her website that the full video will be released on YouTube this week. And there's a really lovely photograph of Lewis Capaldi with Taylor Swift and Donald. And it's just, they look very, very happy doing this. And there's another lovely one of Graham Norton and Taylor Swift. And it really rather looks as if they've had quite a great time doing it. Quite fun for a wee boy from West Lothian.
Young workers urged to check if they are being underpaid by Ian Bunting. Young workers in West Lothian are being urged to check that they are not being underpaid ahead of wage hikes coming into force. National Advice Charity Advice Direct Scotland is reminding apprentices to review their payslips to ensure they receive the correct national minimum wage when the changes take effect in April. Those aged under 23 should also check if they have an unclaimed child trust fund, a long-term tax-free savings account for children born between 2002 and 2011. The charity, which provides free tax advice through its service, taxadvice.scot, warns that employers can make wage mistakes. These include failing to pay apprentices for training time or on all of their hours worked. Some do not increase pay after the national wage rise or when an apprentice completes their first year. Andrew Bartlett, Chief Executive of Advice Direct Scotland, said, "Every penny counts, and young Scots should check their payslips to make sure they're getting the right national minimum wage. This is your hard-earned money, so don't let employers allow it to slip through the cracks. If you're under 23, it's also worth checking if you have an unclaimed child trust fund. These tax-free savings accounts could give you a financial boost as you step into adulthood." Too many young workers don't realise they're being underpaid, and it's vital to know your rights. Anyone who needs help should know that calling HMRC isn't their only option. Visit taxadvice.scot or call us free on 0800 756 3381 for support. Workers are legally entitled to at least the national minimum wage depending on their age and the year of their apprenticeship. From April, the minimum wage for over 21s, known as the National Living Wage, will increase by 4.1% from £12.21 to £12.71 an hour. For 18 to 20-year-olds, the minimum wage will increase from £10 to £10.85 an hour, up by 8.5%. The national minimum wage for apprentices will rise by 6% from £7.55 to £8 an hour.
MSP backing budget to be of real benefit. Amman Valley's MSP has said the Scottish Government's latest budget will improve health services in one area of West Lothian. Angela Constance MSP has welcomed new commitments in the Scottish Government budget alongside the publication of the Infrastructure Investment Plan, which together mark a significant step forward for future health services in East Calder. The Infrastructure Investment Plan, published to complement the budget, specifically names East Calder in the infrastructure delivery pipeline as part of planned new primary and community care and wellbeing centres. This sets out a clear commitment from the Scottish Government to invest in modern health infrastructure to support growing communities. Miss Constance said, East Calder is a growing community and it needs a health centre that is fit for purpose now and in the future. I am pleased that my representations and the voices of the local community have been heard. It is important that this commitment is clearly documented in the Scottish Government's infrastructure investment plan. That gives reassurance that East Calder is firmly on the agenda for future health infrastructure. This is an important step forward. The next step is for me to take the Health Secretary up on his offer to meet to discuss the detail on delivery and to establish clear channels of communication so my constituents can be kept informed as plans progress. East Calder Medical Centre was built to serve approximately 4,500 to 6,000 patients. It's now serving around 16,000 patients.
Pilot for weight loss jabs. West Lothian will join a region-wide pilot scheme offering weight loss jabs free of charge to patients. The weight loss injections, including Mounjaro and Wegovy, have become very popular, but are expensive, with monthly costs starting around £150. The programme will cost more than £200,000 in West Lothian in the first year and almost £1 million across the region. It is being led by NHS Lothian's Dietetic Weight Management Service. West Lothian's Integration Joint Board, which oversees health and social care, heard that the money will cover staff costs as well as costs of the injections. NHS Lothian Dietetic Weight Management Service is a dietetic-led, community-based, multidisciplinary team hosted by Mid Lothian HSCP on behalf of NHS Lothian. The service provides specialist lifestyle and behavioural management. A report to the IJB detailed obesity medicines semaglutide, commonly called Wegovy, and tirzepatide, Mounjaro, have been approved for use by the Scottish Medicines Consortium, SMC, for weight management. The report outlines how these two drugs will be initiated within the dietetic-led weight management service, supported by independent prescribers and medical oversight. It sets out the proposed phased approach for onboarding the first two patient cohorts, the governance arrangements underpinning safe prescribing, and the operational requirements needed to deliver the pathway. The report added, the combined staffing and medication costs in terms of revenue implications for West Lothian IJB in the year 2026 to 27 is £208,000, with a recurring cost of £251,000. There is a risk that based on the proposed staffing model, that demand will exceed capacity. There are further financial risks due to the current costs of medications and lack of extra resources.
Anger as crook is spotted on CCTV. The moment was captured. The theft was highlighted on CCTV. The owner of a convenience store has shared the moment CCTV captured a man allegedly stealing items. CCTV has been captured, which appears to show a man stealing milkshakes and sausages from a small family business. Asia Farouk shared the snap taken from Fair Price Food Store in Craigshill, Livingston, which she runs with her husband. The brazen incident took place on Sunday, February the 8th at around 2 p.m. The man allegedly pocketed the nourishment shakes and some sausages before leaving the shop. In the footage, the man can be seen looking at the items before appearing to put them in his pocket. Asia added he was able to leave before staff confirmed he was stealing from them. Asia said, had he said he really couldn't afford food, we would have happily given him something. Unfortunately, the gentleman managed to leave before we could confirm for sure he was stealing. He helped himself to nourishment milkshakes and sausages, and now the incident has been reported to police.
Baby boxes delight. Almond Valley MSP Angela Constance has welcomed new figures showing that almost 65,000 baby boxes have been delivered in West Lothian since the scheme's introduction. The Scottish Government introduced the baby box in 2017, entitling every newborn in Scotland to a box containing essential items intended to make sure that every child has the best possible start in life. In total, 366,950 boxes have now been distributed to parents across Scotland since the start of the project, with 64,860 being delivered in the NHS Lothians area. The estimated cost of items provided in the baby box is approximately £429. Ms Constance said, almost 370,000 babies have now received a baby box from the SNP government, including 64,860 babies here in NHS Lothian. This is a remarkable achievement and shows our clear commitment to giving every child the best start in life. For families in Almond Valley and across Scotland, the baby box provides vital items for the first 6 months of a child's life. That support matters more than ever at a time when many households are under real pressure from rising bills under the UK Labour government. The baby box is just one example of the practical support delivered by the SNP alongside policies like the Scottish Child Payment and free childcare, which are making a real difference to children and families across Scotland.
New Vets practice opens in town. A new Vets in the latest addition to a growing West Lothian town. Westport Veterinary Clinic opened a new veterinary practice branch in Winchborough in January, meaning the independently owned practice now has 4 branches, as well as operating Westport 24, their own out-of-hours emergency service. Expanding the business to Winchborough has been a work in progress since 2025, with building renovations being completed to convert the property into 2 consulting rooms, a procedure room, pharmacy, kennels, in-house laboratory and a staff room. The Winchborough branch is easily accessible to clients, with disabled access and nearby parking, on-street parking and additional parking available at the nearby Sainsbury's local. Managing Director and Senior Veterinary Surgeon Stuart McMorrow cut the ceremonial ribbon for the official opening of the Winchborough branch. He said, "This expansion is about serving our clients better and improving access to care locally, while also strengthening our Westport 24 emergency service. Winchborough is a growing area, and opening a branch here allows us to be closer to the clients and pets we already care for." By registering with Westport Vets, clients also gain access to our in-house 24-hour emergency service, ensuring continuity of care day and night. Rosalind Cooper was the first client to have an appointment for her dog Tibetan Terrier Baxter at the new Winchborough branch. Rosalind added, "Westport Vets are a brilliant addition to Winchborough. Baxter was delighted to be the first to visit the new practice. This is a testament to the team, who have ensured he has only had positive experiences when visiting them at South Queensferry." Information on Westport Vets branches, services and registration is available on their website.
Charity welcome to premises. Almond Housing Association has welcomed Home Aid West Lothian into their building as they open a new furniture and thrift store in Craigshill. Over the past few years, AHA and Home Aid have worked together on a variety of initiatives, including supporting tenants with household essentials. Getting the keys to a new property is often an exciting time, but furnishing the home comes at an additional cost. Home Aid has supported AHA with items for their home starter packs. These packs are handed out to new tenants in need to get them started in their new home. It includes items such as duvets, duvet covers and curtains. The new store in Craigshill offers a variety of second-hand furniture and white goods, as well as thrift shop items. This will give residents an opportunity to purchase high-quality goods at reasonable prices. John Davidson, AHA Chief Executive, said, "We are delighted to have the homemade team in the building. We have been working on this project behind the scenes for a few years, and it's great to see it come to life. Having relocated our team to the first floor of the building after COVID, we were keen to utilise the vacant space on the ground floor for the benefit of the community. The opening of the homemade store is positive and builds on the previous changes made to our reception area, now known as the Big Living Room, which is open to local groups and hosts ongoing events and classes. As well as providing high-quality products, Homemade is also helping to reduce waste by repurposing furniture from AHA's void properties." Willie Dunn, Homemade Chief Executive, added, "We are delighted to be working in partnership with Almond Housing in our new store in Craigshill. We have a range of pre-loved clothes and furniture at affordable prices for everyone in West Lothian."
Delight as pupils net STEM goal. And it's an article by Rose Thompson. Education Scotland has announced that Livingston Village Primary School in West Lothian has achieved a full STEM Nation award. The Sciences, Technologies, Engineering and Mathematics (STEM) Nation Award celebrates, promotes and builds on effective practice in STEM education across Scotland. Education Scotland's STEM Nation Award is the cornerstone of the Scottish Government's STEM education and training strategy for Scotland. The government strategy sets out a vision of Scotland as a world-leading STEM nation with a highly educated and skilled population equipped with the STEM skills, knowledge and capability required to adapt to and thrive in a rapidly changing world. STEM skills are crucial as Scotland seeks to transition to net zero and as the demand for STEM skills grows to support our key economic sectors, including green economy, energy, space, advanced manufacturing, engineering, life and chemical sciences, food and drink, and creative and digital media. In order to achieve the full STEM Nation Award, settings must gather and submit evidence for the 5 elements of the award: leadership in STEM, STEM family and community learning, employability, and STEM partnership working, STEM curriculum and learner pathways, and equity and equality in STEM. After achieving all 5 element settings, they upload their STEM action plan for review by Education Scotland, and a discussion is then held to explore this in more depth. Livingston Village Primary School was praised for its commitment to equity and equality in STEM. The school's application included the Equality Ito mascot, which was designed by a pupil and promotes equality as a key school value. Staff also use equity reflection wheels to reflect on the ethos, environment, learning and teaching experience provided for the children. Validators also highlighted the positive impact of STEM partnership working. The school has developed mutually beneficial partnerships with a wide range of partners, including Heriot-Watt University and Almond Valley Heritage Centre. These partnerships are providing engaging experiences for learners and cutting-edge support and training for teachers. Nicola Hamilton, head teacher at Livingston Village Primary School, said, "I am immensely proud that our school has been awarded this award. It has been a real boost to be recognised nationally. This achievement is a testament to the dedication, creativity and hard work of both our pupils and staff. Together, under the passionate lead of Mrs. Leslie Fraser and our pupil STEM leaders, we have fostered a culture of curiosity and innovation, ensuring that STEM subjects are not only taught but brought to life in our school, with pupil voice being at the heart of what we do. We have established a good partnership who support our work. Looking ahead, we are committed to building on this success by expanding opportunities for hands-on learning, strengthening partnerships with industry and higher education. Our goal is to inspire every learner to see themselves as problem solvers and innovators, ready to tackle the challenges of tomorrow. Congratulations to everyone involved. Lisa Bird, Interim Chief Executive of Education Scotland, added, "Congratulations to Livingston Village Primary School on achieving the Full STEM Nation Award. Livingston Village is the 64th educational setting in Scotland to achieve the award, with over 400 further settings signed up to the programme. This is important because the skills which our young people gain from doing STEM subjects are vital for their future lives and work across many different jobs. I am delighted that Livingston Village Primary is providing such enriched, engaging and varied experiences for their learners, and hope that this success will encourage even more of Scotland's schools and settings to apply for the award."
Work will commence on new primary school. Council has added $2 million to deliver the Craigs Hill project by Stuart Somerville. Work is set to start on a new West Lothian primary school this spring. The new Craigs Hill Primary will replace two of Livingston's first schools dating back to the late 1960s. But rack and asbestos removal has added almost $2 million to the bill for the council to deliver the brand new primary in one of Livingston's poorest areas. The new $25 million school is partly funded by the council and the Scottish Government based on the Learning Estate Investment Programme, LEAP outcomes based on funding model. The capital funding is $10.996 million being provided from the Scottish Government. That equates to 43% of the total revised cost of the $25.8 million. David Baird, Property Services Manager, told a meeting of West Lothian Council's executive that costs had risen by $1.8 million following initial estimates because of the cost of asbestos and the rack panel removed and the demolition of Riverside Primary Building and ground conditions on the site where the new school will be built. Mr. Baird stressed the new price tag of $25.8 million was fixed and would remain so unless the council itself decided to change the specification of the building. Building work will start in April and is expected to take around 15 months, with the new school open for the start of August 2027 term. The new 3-storey primary school with a sloped roof will bring both the current Latham and Riverside schools together and will have capacity for 462 primary pupils, integrated early years facility, external play spaces, landscaping and car park. Answering questions from SNP councillors on the rise of the costs is Mr. Baird, who said initial estimates were based on assumptions before demolition of the Riverside building actually started. Stripping out costs for asbestos and rack only became clear once the work had started. Similarly, grand engineering costs rose because the footprint and orientation of the new building differs from the old school. Local councillor Damien Doran Timpson told the meeting, "I welcome this step forward to get this new primary school moving. It will be long overdue." The new school was delayed for around a year before agreement was reached with the National Investment Programme. Riverside was closed and the children decanted after it was one of the first schools found with rack roof panels. Executive Councillor for Education Andrew Maguire said, "I'm delighted that the delivery of the Craigs Hill Primary took an important step forward today. With construction starting in April, it will allow us to have the new school ready and open in time for the start of the 2027-28 school term. I'm confident that a superb new Craigs Hill Primary will be a huge asset to the local community for many years to come."
Man left stuck on waiting list for past decade. This is an article by Jacob Farr. A West Lothian man is pleading for a rethink on the council's housing policy as he has been stuck on the waiting list for over 10 years. Stuart Maybury has been living out of a bedroom in his aunt and uncle's house for the past decade in Livingston. He claims to have jumped through every hoop but has failed to be offered a home by the local authority due to his priority status. At the age of 30, Stuart found himself close to declaring homelessness after a relationship breakdown and had no other option but to turn to family. The former Sky caterer lost his job to redundancy over the COVID period, and both his physical and mental health have deteriorated, something he feels is not properly being taken into account by the housing department. At 41 years old, he says he wants his own space, but he fears he is being abandoned by the council. I'm currently crammed into one bedroom in my aunt and uncle's house because the council has not allocated me any accommodation, he said. I've been on the waiting list for over 10 years. I can't really illustrate the gravity of my living condition. The situation with my health issues physically and mentally is not good. I've stayed in Livingston almost all of my life. After a relationship broke down, I was going to be homeless as I had nowhere else to go, but I was able to stay with my family. The process of getting a house is very difficult in West Lothian. You have no control and they have all the power. Homes are allocated on a priority, and I've been told it does not matter how long you are on the waiting list. What I'm led to believe is that people get offered houses a lot quicker if they are staying at a hostel or a halfway house. And maybe it's because it costs the council a lot more money, so they move them along faster to get the next person in. I'm not a priority because I'm staying with family and not costing the money. I have several disabilities and health conditions, but none of that seems to matter. While he is thankful for his family taking him in, Stuart details the difficulty of living in someone else's space for a long period of time. Not only this, but he said if anything were to happen to his aunt and uncle, there is not a guarantee that the property would be passed on to himself. Alarmingly, the same data set for 2024 stated the primary immediate reason for homelessness applications was family and friends no longer willing to accommodate people and asking them to leave, accounting for 26% of all applications. I've never been given a specific reason as to why I have not been allocated a house other than they base it on priority, he said. How long have I been waiting has been labelled as irrelevant. It is crazy to think someone could come in and get a council house in the next couple of days after entering the system because they are considered more of a priority than myself. I go unnoticed, and for the council to conduct themselves and operate in this way is madness. West Lothian Council officials reiterated their housing applications are based on priority through a points allocation system. Points are obtained under categories set out by the Council's allocations policy in order to determine who has the most urgent need. A West Lothian Council spokesperson said, "The allocations policy has been reviewed and updated regularly over the years to ensure it is in line with the latest statutory legal requirements, the last version being reviewed and approved by elected members in November 2020. The policy also promotes other legislative provisions, for example, those relating to equal opportunities. The policy also incorporates good practice guidance, including guidance issued by the Scottish Government. We can confirm that housing officers have previously supported the applicant and provided advice on maximising the number of points allocated to their application and discussed potential housing options available that might be available for the applicant. If they wish to further discuss their application, they can speak to the allocations team by calling 01506 2800 280000 to make a phone appointment, and the team can assist with ensuring the information in their application is up to date. With a national housing emergency, all types of social housing in West Lothian, whether council or registered social landlords, RSLs, are in very high demand, and as a result, anyone considering applying for social housing in West Lothian is strongly encouraged to ensure that they register not just with the council, but with all RSLs who operate in West Lothian, and also to consider their options.
MP on the ball after new pitch cash injection. Article by Ross Thompson. Livingston's MP has welcomed a bumper grant from the UK government to improve football facilities in his constituency. Gregor Poynton MP has welcomed a £242,360 investment that has already delivered a newly upgraded artificial grass pitch at Muirston United Community Football Club, supporting grassroots football and community sport in West Lothian. Mr Poynton recently met with Lisa Nandy, MP, Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, at her Westminster offices to welcome the investment and highlight the importance of backing local clubs through UK Labour government funding. During the meeting, he presented the Secretary of State with a Muirston United CFC scarf, recognising the club and the impact the programme is having locally. The funding was delivered through the Multi-Sport Grassroots Facilities Programme, part of a wider UK Labour government commitment to investing in grassroots sports, improving access to high-quality facilities and supporting healthier, more active communities across the country. Gregor also visited Muirston United last week to see the upgraded pitch in use and meet with club representatives and volunteers. He said, "This is a really significant investment for Muirston United and for grassroots football in West Lothian. Local clubs like this are central to giving young people opportunities, bringing families together and supporting both physical and mental well-being in our communities. With the pitch now upgraded and in use, more teams can train and play all year round. There are greater opportunities for women and girls to get involved, and the club has a stronger, more sustainable future. I was delighted to visit the club last week and see the commitment of the volunteers who make Muirston United such a success. The upgraded surface is already supporting increased participation, improved training standards and greater year-round use, helping the club plan for the future and expand opportunities for women, girls, young people and community groups." Kira Venables, chair of Muirston United CFC, added, "Having our pitch replaced has been an incredible moment for the club and for everyone connected to it. The new surface has already transformed the day-to-day experience for our players, providing a safer, high-quality facility that can be used consistently throughout the year. This has improved training standards, reduced cancellations, and created a more inclusive environment for players of all ages and abilities." Alongside the fund investment, the club demonstrated strong local commitments by fundraising, showing clear community buy-in and long-term sustainability. The impact of the project goes beyond football. It has strengthened community pride, increased participation and created a facility the club can build on for years to come. We are hugely grateful to the SFA Pitching In Fund, funded by DCMS, whose support has been instrumental in making this lasting impact possible. Across the UK, nearly 1,000 community sports projects have benefited from the Multi-Sport Grassroots Facilities Programme in 2025 to 26 alone, with at least 50% of funding directed to the 30% most deprived communities. Projects include new and upgraded all-weather pitches, improved changing facilities, floodlighting and community hubs designed to support participation across multiple sports. The investment reflects the UK government's wider plan for change, backing local communities, improving health and well-being, and ensuring families have affordable, accessible opportunities to stay active close to home. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has said, "This is sport delivering for the nation. Every pound we invest in grassroots facilities is a pound that takes pressure off the NHS, supports mental and physical health, and opens doors for new community members to benefit from sports, such as women and girls who've been shut out for far too long. We're supporting communities that have made do with rundown pitches and crumbling changing rooms for years. This government is turning that around, building facilities that get people active, bring communities together, and nurture the next generation of sporting talent. Scottish FA President Mike Mulroney added, "We are grateful to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport and partners for their continued support. This latest funding announcement will enable us to further invest in the infrastructure of our national sport, which I have made my number one priority as President."
Wilson aiming to cook up a storm at Spurs, and this article is by Paul Thompson. James Wilson admits making the step up to play for Tottenham Hotspur won't be the only challenge he faces in London, as he will no longer have his family to cook for him. The 18-year-old from Linlithgow sealed a deadline day move from Hearts on loan with the option to buy at the end of the season, and it will be a bit of a culture shock for the teenager to go from playing in Scotland's capital to the UK capital. It is understood that Tottenham Hotspur paid a significant loan fee to beat Arsenal to the chase, as the Gunners were insisting on a trial first. But he is relishing the opportunity after making his debut for Tottenham Hotspur's under-21s in the Premier League 2 last week, where Wilson's new side ran out 4-0 winners. On this move, he told the club media, "I am buzzing. It all happened so quickly for me, and deadline day was really a busy day. It is nice to get it done. It will be my first time leaving home, so even that will be a challenge. I'm just getting used to me having to cook for myself and having to clean for myself. It's a great opportunity for me, a new environment, it's a big thing. I've been at Hearts since I was 9, so getting this environment of just trying something different, and hopefully I can make the most of it. The training ground is incredible. It looks so new. The pitches look incredible. I'm loving the kit. Everything about it looks amazing. I think it would be someone who wants to get in the box and score goals. I like to think my movement is pretty good. Movement in behind. So I think for every game I play, I would be running behind and hopefully score goals." Wilson made history last year when he became the youngest ever player to represent Scotland's senior squad in March last year, making his debut against Greece at the age of 18 years and 17 days old. And on being part of the national setup, he added, "They're a great group. They were so welcoming to me. I knew, obviously, having Craigie there, Craig Gordon, he took me to the hotel the first time, and just having someone there so many times, I could always ask him questions if I needed to. But yes, it was a great experience for me. I loved it. To make my debut was incredible. I didn't think it would happen, but it was so good to go on the pitch and just play in front of Hampton and just be a Scotland player." Well, that's us at the end of this week's recording. So when you've finished listening to it, please put the memory stick back into the folder and return it to us as soon as you can. Please remember to turn over the address label, leaving the cut-off corner at the top right-hand side. And with that, it's goodbye from me, Rebecca.
Goodbye from me, Joanne.
Goodbye from me, Jane.
And goodbye from me, Sarah.
Good night.
Good night.